I know I'm a little excitable this morning, but I just couldn't believe it when I logged in, I watched his video, and I was like, those are the exact same plants I've got sitting at my place, but they're 4 times the size. All right, so you guys are gonna like this video, so just go ahead and hit that like button right now, subscribe and follow along and see where these things end up. So here we go. I've got a really fun video that is gonna be probably pretty quick, but it's a comparison of the same plant in 2 different locations. We're gonna learn a lot here. Several months back in the late winter, I sent my buddy Mark 2 mulberry plants down in Texas. Now here's where it gets really interesting. He lives in zone 8B. I believe it's zone 8B, which is exactly the same zone as mine, zone 8B. However, I live about 30 minutes east of Olympia, Washington. He lives, I believe it's somewhere around Dallas, Texas. So this is definitely something to take into consideration. He is a lot further south than me, but we live in the same zone, which brings up the point. Growing zones are determined by temperature. How cold does it generally get on average in the winter, and how hot does it generally get on average in the summer? As far as I understand it, those are the primary points taken into consideration when you're talking about zones. So we have to be really mindful of the fact that his zone and my zone are the same, but we live in different locations, and there are other variables and factors that are going to affect plant growth. Stay with me because this is a really cool comparison. So Mark's growing season down in Texas started months before mine, and then I had a long, late, cold, wet spring, which led into almost summer. And so things really got a slow start around here. Whereas down in Mark's area, even though he's the same zone, he got his start months earlier, and his plants are much further along than mine. So when we're talking about zones, we gotta be really careful. So he actually just did an update to the mulberry plants that I sent him just a couple days ago on his channel. I'll put a link down below. It's the Overworked Gardener, and it was his last video. So go check that out, and you guys are you're gonna be astounded at the comparison of same zones, different locations. Let's take a look at these mulberries that are the exact same plants as his. They were propagated at the exact same time. They've been growing in primarily the same conditions, except that he's further south than me. So when Mark posted his video a few days ago, I didn't know he was going to post it, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. I was sitting there staring at the computer screen, watching his video with my jaw dropped open, going, what am I doing in this cold state? We have a beautiful state, and I love everything we can grow around here, but I cannot believe the difference. So let's take a measure just like he did. He put his 2 mulberry plants side by side just like this. He had the Pakistan on the left and the World's Best on the right. And he took a tape measure and measured them up, and I wrote it down here. On the Pakistan, he got 3'8" from the soil up. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I've got a lot to make up for here. We are at 16.5 inches to the top. So, you know, just over a foot here. And when you see his video, you're going to be like, whoa, man, that is a crazy comparison. And to the top of this bud, we are at like 10.5 inches. His was at 4 foot 1 inch on the World's Best. His plants were up here and just big and full. The leaves were massive and dark green and just beautiful. Now, he had his plants in bigger pots. I think he had 2 or 3 gallon pots that they were sitting in, so they had more room for root growth. But I don't think that's much of a factor. I don't think if I would have put these in 2 gallon pots and grown them like that, they would have put on too much more growth in this. This is just what they've been able to do in my area. And I know I'm a little excitable this morning, but I just couldn't believe it when I logged in, I watched his video, and I was like, those are the exact same plants I've got sitting at my place, but they're 4 times the size, or at least 3 times the size. It just amazed me. So go check out his video. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description below, and you can go see what these exact same plants look like in the same zone in a different location down in Texas. And so that brings up that whole point about zones. We talk about zones all the time. People want to know, what zone are you in? That's like in the gardening world, that's one of the first questions, you know. I want to grow it. What zone are you in? And you got to take into account, you might be able to grow it, but you've got to take into account all the other variables. Like, he's got a much longer growing season than I do. And so he could probably grow things like watermelon down there and cantaloupe and things that I cannot really grow very well in this area. I mean, I can, but not to the same degree as he can in Texas, even though he's in the same zone. So really neat comparison. Go check that out now. And I think that's it for now, guys. Gosh, look at that, man. That guy is just soaring way up here with his plants. Let me show you something real quick though. Do I have something you don't have, Mark? I've got little mulberries on my world's best. Check that out. I don't know that they'll amount to much of anything. They're just in a 1-gallon pot, but I've got mulberries. So that's what I got for you today. I thought that was a fun one, a neat comparison, and it will help all of us understand the difference in locations versus zones. So hope you guys got something out of that. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow along. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.